All right, everyone, here's item number 6 in your notebook, demand notes. The first couple slides are things that were played in the video the other day. I'm simply going to go over them for recapping. All right, so demand is the amount of a good or a service that a consumer is willing and able to buy at various prices during a given period of time. So you'll see demand shown on a graph as a curve, and we'll show you more of that later. There's another definition that sounds very, very similar, and that is the amount of that's quantity demanded. That is the amount of a good or a service that a consumer is willing and able to buy at each particular price during a given period of time. This would be shown as a point on the demand curve because you're talking about a specific price. So when it says at each particular price, you're singling out prices to look at along the demand curve. But in order to have demand, you have to be willing and able to buy the product. You might be willing but not able to buy a product, or you might be able to buy a product but not willing to buy the product. So the law of demand, this is incredibly important. Do not ever forget this. It's also kind of common sense. Think about your own actions. As price goes up, quantity demanded goes down. So when things get more expensive, you buy less of it. When things are cheaper, you buy more of it. So here's the law of demand in a quick little graphic for you. As price increases, quantity demanded decreases. There are some things that affect whether you buy a good or not, and helps to describe the negative slope of the demand curve. One of them is the income effect. So if the price of a product changes, you're able to buy more or less of that product. So your purchasing power has increased or decreased because of the price of the product. For example, a chocolate bar $1, if they go on sale for 50 cents, what are you going to do? Are you going to buy just one? Nah, we know you're going to buy two. Don't lie to yourself. Substitution effect. If there are two products that are pretty similar and one's more expensive than the other, you'll buy the cheaper one. If a Hershey bar costs $7 a piece, what are you going to do? You're going to buy a Nestle bar. If Nestle bars were free, would you demand 1 million of them? No, that's not even 1 million. That's 1 billion. Would you demand 1 billion? We both know the answer is no. And that is because of diminishing marginal utility. The more you consume of something, the less satisfaction you get from consuming it. And that's why demand for a product is not limitless. So the more you use something, the less satisfaction you get from it. All right, so now we get to demand curves. Now, typically I will give you a demand schedule and ask you to draw a curve using that schedule. This is what a demand schedule looks like. Right here, this thing. So what this is showing is the the quantity of products that a consumer is willing and able to buy at a series of possible prices. So as discussed earlier, these prices together you can make a demand curve with, but this is illustrating quantity demanded because at this price, this is how much people want. So at a specific price, we're talking quantity demanded. All of the prices together, we're talking demand. Now, schedules are good for one thing, and that's for drawing a curve. So here we go. Do this on your own. Do it quickly. It's not too difficult. Don't overthink this. It works just like a regular graph. So remember, here are the things. Here's your product. Here are your prices and quantities demanded. And then draw the graph. Like I said, don't overthink it. It's not as hard as you're making it sound. And to find the highest total revenue, it's really simplified. All you do is you do the price times quantity demanded, and that'll give you total revenue. All right, so here's what the graph is going to look like. I didn't give you much time on this one because this is the first one, so we're going to do it together. So always start by drawing this part of the graph. Price always goes on the left side. Quantity always goes at the bottom. And then we plot the points. At $4, 5,000 quantity demanded. At $3.90, it was close to 15,000. At $3.80, it was just over 25,000. And $3.75, it was just under 3,000. Now to make our demand curve, we just connect the dots. And then we label the demand curve D1. That's it. See, you're making it sound too difficult. It's not hard at all. So do this one on your own. All right, so you should be about done now, and this is what your graph should look like. Once again, you got the big giant L. I think that's what math people like their graphs to be on. You got price on the left, quantity on the bottom. Notice we changed the prices on the side to match this example. You will do that every time you draw a demand curve. Always change the prices to match your example. Start by plotting the points. You'll notice that I didn't plot all 6 points on this one like I did on the last one. You really don't need to. The demand curve is an idea of the slope of the product. So here's the demand. Well, notice it's labeled D1. You must always label your graph with a D1. Cool? That's it for notes.